What is going on, guys? Welcome to the WrestleGasm channel, and we are here with episode 6 of the Global Wrestling Alliance series on TEW 2020. And this is our biggest episode yet because we have finally reached our very first pay-per-view event. This is GWA First Strike in 1992, and I cannot wait to get into it. I've booked the show, it's looking great, and I'm excited. I'm not confident, but I'm excited. I did also just notice you can rename a show this late. Okay, I didn't realize you could do it while the show is actually going on. Anyways, I'm getting carried away. We are on Kogeko and Viewer's Choice, both of which are pay-per-view providers across the US and Canada. So, for anyone who doesn't remember, in previous episodes, I said I originally wanted to do pay-per-views or supercards maybe once every 2 months, just kind of spread it out. But we're not doing the best financially, so I'm trying to get some pay-per-view shows in to see how profitable they are. Speaking of which, we are at 2.48 mil to start this show. It's still a good amount of money, but we're still losing it. We're losing money at a very slow pace, so hopefully we can start gaining it this month. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Before we get into the card, one thing I want to show off real quick. Last episode, I was bragging about how episode 3 of Showcase did better than the previous episode by 30,000, and even that did better than the first one by a little bit. 30,000 was a huge jump of viewers, which I was really proud of. But 600,000 viewers compared to episode 4, 651,000 viewers. We are doing bits, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally making some good progress. If we can just get up there in the financial aspect, then we will be set. We are live from the Great Western Forum. We are expecting 9,500 fans, which is huge. We're doing normal ticket prices, not premium, not cheap, nothing like that. We're doing normal. The TV shows, of course, are cheap tickets because we want to get more popularity, but these events we're going to try and earn a bit of cash with. So 9,500 in a venue that seats 8,000, so hopefully we can get a sellout. But before we jump into the show, let's take a quick look at the card for tonight. So since it's a pay-per-view, I thought I'd throw together a few little graphics, nothing crazy. As you can see, I copied the in-your-house style of the titles, but it is what it is. Either way, tonight we will see the GWA debut of Rocky Johnson. Pretty big debut. We had a few debuts last week as well. We're basically becoming AEW at this point. But very happy to have Rocky Johnson on the card. He will be competing in a trios match. Who his partners and his opponents will be, we'll find out later on. We will hear from the Universal Heartthrob Austin Idol. Of course, on episode 4 of Showcase, he turned his back on Scott Armstrong and united with Jerry the King Lawler, his longtime rival. And they are of the opinion that who knows you better than your own worst enemy, and so they're going to become a united front in the GWA. Jerry Lawler is not on the card tonight. He's working for the USWA, but that's perfectly fine because, you know, we told the story we wanted to tell so far, and then we got to set up a new one. So Austin Idol is here to do that tonight. Jushin Thunder Liger has requested an opponent tonight, and I can confirm he will be in action. An opponent has been found. As to who that is, we'll find out not too far from now. We'll be kicking off the women's division with a huge match as the global sensation Wendi Richter takes on rising star Manami Toyota. Of course, as we know in the real world, Manami Toyota is one of the best women's wrestlers of all time, but at this point I think she's only 20 years old, so she's got a fair way to go in the game, but hopefully we can get her to that point. So the women's division will kick off tonight with that match. Our main event will be Tully Blanchard versus Bob Backlund. Of course, the rules are that if Bob Backlund loses, he is no longer a part of the GWA roster, but Tully Blanchard has agreed to forbid the members of Tully Blanchard Enterprises from ringside. So there'll be no Paul Ellering, there'll be no New Breed, it'll just be Tully versus Bob. But to kick off the show, we are going to find out who our brand new commissioner is. Basically our general manager type figure. Chris Cruz announced it on the last episode of Showcase. So we're going to find out who that is right now. Alright, so I did say right now, but that's technically not right. We do have pre-show matches, and then once we get to the televised portion, then we'll find out who the commissioner is. But we kick off with a pre-show bout that had subpar wrestling and non-existent crowd heat. Ken Shamrock defeated Taz in 11 minutes 14 by submission with an ankle lock. Gets a 52. We can make do with that. 8,000, so we got a sellout crowd. Basically, my logic behind this match was in between the recording of this episode and the recording of the last one, I realized Taz was available in the game, and I had to snatch him up. I am a massive Taz fan, always have been, and so I knew I wanted to sign him. At this point in his career, he's the Tazmaniac. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do good old Taz, but he's still an unknown at this point. He's an indie guy, so we got to try to build him up. Ken Shamrock is recognizable at this point. Admittedly, I did try and put Taz over and give him the win, but Ken Shamrock was understandably upset. I couldn't argue with it. He doesn't want to lose to an unknown. But I did make it an open match, so Taz still gets some credit where it's due. And plus, I just thought Taz versus Ken Shamrock would be, badass. So yeah, there's that. Also, the reason I was okay with having Taz go over Ken Shamrock is I don't really plan on booking Ken Shamrock all that much. Maybe if I think of a story in the future, then I will, but he's just kind of there, to be totally honest. But we move into the next match. In a pre-show bout that had a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling, Dynamite Kid and Al Snow defeated Chris Candido and Shane Douglas in 14 minutes 15 seconds when Dynamite Kid pinned Chris Candido with a diving headbutt. 54, pretty good match. So, as you may notice by the last match and by this one, normally in these episodes, the pre-shows will have a GWA roster member going over a local worker, a jobber. But because it's a pay-per-view, I thought more people would want to be signed, because you usually get that complaint like, oh, this person's upset that they weren't booked on this show. So the pre-shows are going to be full GWA roster members, no local workers. So this one, Candido, Douglas, Snow, they haven't wrestled in a couple weeks. Dynamite Kid's been out with an injury, but he's back now. So I just wanted to give this a shot. And Candido and Douglas, I was a bit curious to team up because they, of course, were the triple threat in ECW with like a rotating roster of teammates, usually Bam Bam Bigelow, who's also on our roster. So I was curious to see how Candido and Douglas did as a team, but apparently not well. So we're probably not going to pair them up in the future. In a pre-show bout that had a decent reaction from the crowd but subpar wrestling, Koko Beware defeated Bob Orton Jr. in 14:22 by pinfall with a birdbuster. Now this is the debut for both of these guys in GWA. Koko Beware I've wanted to book pretty much on every show, but he's been busy on every show. He's been working elsewhere. But we got him tonight. Bob Orton Jr. has been on our shows, but as a road agent. This is his first match for us. And I was a little bit hesitant to book him because he's up there in age, but he put on a pretty decent performance. This was an alright match. Pretty happy with it. But with that done, the pre-show is over. Let's jump into the main show and find out who the commissioner is. So Chris Cruz opens the show in the Chris Cruz corner, which is like our interview area, and he's here to reveal who the new commissioner will be. This person will be a representative for the GWA Board of Directors, but they'll still be making many of the major calls on their own, much like a general manager would. So without further ado, Chris Cruz, welcomes the new commissioner. It is the, and I quote, smartest man in wrestling, Nick Bockwinkel. Bockwinkel makes his way out to much fan ovation. He thanks everyone for the praise and says it's an honor to be a part of GWA. He's proud of the many accomplishments he's had in his career, and this is just one of them. But speaking of those accomplishments, Nick has had many great reigns as the World Heavyweight Champion in various promotions, most notably the AWA. That's an opportunity that he would like to provide for the stars of GWA. Starting on the next episode of Showcase, there will be a tournament to crown the first ever GWA Global Heavyweight Champion. The contestants will be handpicked by Bockwinkel based on who has impressed him the most. So it's time for everyone to step up if they want a shot at the gold. So there you go. Nick Bockwinkel, ladies and gentlemen, is the new commissioner for the GWA. Originally, I won't lie, it was going to be Bruno Sammartino. And that was kind of the idea since the very first show. The reason I didn't go with Sammartino is because I want the commissioner to be able to put on good segments. Sammartino has a 17 microphone stats, which is pretty good, but Bockwinkel has a 90. So I was like, it's got to be him. So yeah, Bockwinkel's the new commissioner. We will start a tournament to crown the Global Heavyweight Champion. I think calling it Global Heavyweight just made sense because we are the Global Wrestling Alliance. Global is just substituting for World. I thought it made sense. Hopefully you guys think it's cool. Let me know if you like that name or not. But yeah, I'm very happy with that. And also the reason I didn't launch a championship off the bat is because I always like the idea of running a few shows first so that the audience can get familiar with these wrestlers before we crown the first champion. That's just kind of my mindset. So yeah, there we go. We move on to the first match of the night. In a decent match, Cactus Jack defeated Dino Bravo in 14:54 by pinfall with a double arm DDT. Not much to this match. I just wanted to give Cactus Jack about Dino Bravo's pretty high up on the roster in terms of notoriety, and we rarely ever use him. So yeah, just a little match there. The match was a little too short for an important match in the eyes of our audience. So I feel like because this is an event and not a TV show, we're probably going to get that quite a lot. But to be fair, Cactus Jack and Dino Bravo are quite high on that list, so who knows. Lou Albano visits Vader backstage, and for anyone who doesn't remember, Albano tried to become Vader's manager, and all Vader wanted was a match, and said, if you can give me opponents, I'll let you manage me. And Albano managed to score Vader a match with Tony Atlas on the last showcase episode, and it worked well because Vader got the win. But either way, Albano visits Vader backstage and says that their partnership worked perfectly on Showcase. He asks again whether Vader will allow him to be his new manager. Vader says that if Albano can keep giving him opponents to destroy, then he will agree to it. Albano says that they have the perfect opportunity with the Global Heavyweight Championship tournament. It'll be a series of opponents stepping up just to get knocked down by the Mastodon. Vader likes the idea, but he still wants a match tonight. If Albano can make that happen, they'll be in business. So there you go. Albano one step closer to becoming Vader's manager. All he has to do is just score some opponents. And About that had a decent reaction from the crowd, but terrible wrestling. The New Breed defeated the Sheepherders, or the Bushwhackers, in 12:05 when Chris Champion pinned Butch Miller with a super kick. I didn't expect much out of this match, I'm not going to lie. Basically, I wanted to give Chris Champion and Sean Royal a match. They didn't compete last week, and I wanted to give them a pay-per-view win because obviously we're trying to boost those guys up, trying to make them part of Tully Blanchard Enterprises. And that's about it, really. It's the first time we've been able to book the Sheepherders because Luke Williams has always been absent. He's been working elsewhere. Butch had a singles match last week, but he did a bit shit, so we kind of expected that this would be a poor match. But the New Breed get a win on the pay-per-view. That's what matters here. Our first time booking the Sheepherders as a team. And, you know, they get some cool bonuses like excellent chemistry and tag team specialists, but it wasn't really enough to produce a good quality match. But it's kind of what we expected, and for that, I'm fine with it. So now Austin Idol makes his way out to the ring. And like I said earlier, Jerry Lawler is absent on tonight's show. But Idol says that what he and Jerry Lawler did to Scott Armstrong on Showcase this week was a necessary display of power to ensure that the GWA roster knows who the top dogs of this company are. It's not the big buffoon Vader, it's not Tully Blanchard and his lackeys, it's the King and the Universal Heartthrob. Then one half of the WCW United States Tag Team Champion Steve Armstrong comes out and says that what they did to his brother Scott was not a display of power, but a display of cowardice. He claims that Idol isn't worth a damn and has to resort to teaming with his own worst enemy in order to get anywhere in the company. Idol takes offense to Steve's remarks and says that he would be happy to embarrass another member of the Armstrong family. Steve takes that as a challenge, and the two prepare for a match right here, right now. Now, I'm going to be honest before we get into this match. Much like the New Breed match, I don't expect much out of this. Idol, I did not sign to be a wrestler. He's just going to be a manager, a talker, whatever. But he is still a wrestler at this point. He's an occasional wrestler. So I thought it'd be a good way to kind of continue the story, having Steve Armstrong step in. Idol can maybe go. I don't expect a good performance, but he can probably put on a match. So let's see how it goes. It's a terrible match. Well, there you go. Austin Idol defeated Steve Armstrong in 12:24 by submission with a Las Vegas leg lock after blatantly cheating. Austin Idol with a 37, Steve Armstrong with a 41, 46, all up. Yeah, again, like I said, wasn't expecting much, but Idol with the cheat to win, pretty much what you'd expect from a character like him. In a decent match, Rocky Johnson and the Rock and Roll Express defeated the Russians of Nikita Koloff, Ivan Koloff, and Boris Zukov in 14:37 when Rocky Johnson submitted Ivan Koloff with a Boston Crab. Gets 57. I'll take that. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, pretty much the whole kind of purpose behind this match was to put some good people on the card. Rocky Johnson, we wanted to debut. He's a pretty well-known name at this point, so the Rock and Roll Express. Nikita Koloff, who we debuted in the previous episode. Actually, if we have a look, after the show, we'll go to the creative meeting and have a look. He's actually one of our 3 franchise players at this point. The other 2 are Vader and Tully Blanchard. So if I can find a story for us to do with the Russians, I will probably do that because Nikita Koloff can probably provide us with some good results. He gets a 63 here, so he is the star of this match. And about that, decent wrestling but didn't have much heat. Wendi Richter defeated Manami Toyota in 16 minutes and 8 seconds by pinfall with a sit-out DDT. Manami with the higher performance of 54 compared to Wendy's 50. We knew Wendy's popularity was going to play a part in this, and Manami's lack of popularity was going to play a part in this, but their in-ring capabilities shined through, and Manami got the better performance. 54, pretty happy with that. Was hoping for a little bit higher, but I'm still pretty happy with that. And then after the match, Wendi Richter celebrates her victory over Manami Toyota. Before leaving the ring, she helps Manami to her feet and raises her hand, sharing the adulation and marking the birth of the GWA Women's Division. So there we go. I'm pretty happy with that as the launch of our women's division. Starting on the next episode of Showcase, we'll start to book more women's matches. You know, we'll see Tina Moretti, we'll see the Glamour Girls, any new signings. I think Rock and Robin is still injured at this point. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. A bit more of Wendi and Manami as well. Buddy Landel comes out to the Chris Cruz corner, where Cruz asks Landel for an update following his loss to Cactus Jack a few days ago. Landel says that over the past month, his spirit has been crushed. After being rejected by Lou Albano and being humiliated by Vader, Liger, and Cactus Jack, he considered calling it quits. But after the last episode of Showcase went off the air, he was approached by someone who made him an offer that he couldn't refuse. A chance to reinvent himself and become something more than the failed Nature Boy. A chance to become a part of something larger than himself. And most importantly, a shot at redemption that he refuses to let slip. But what the offer is, the world will have to wait to find out. Yeah, so I'm going to be fully honest with you guys. My intention was originally Buddy Landel was going to come into this pay-per-view and say, okay, final open challenge, because he's issued 3 now and he's lost all of them. But he said, if I can't win this one, I've got nothing left to fight for here, and I'll quit. And then he was going to lose, and he was going to quit. Or actually, he might have stuck around. I didn't really book the ending of that. But yeah, the plan was if he lost, he would leave. And the reason I didn't go through with that is because that's now what we're doing with Bob Backlund. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But I'm pretty happy with this new direction that we're taking with the Landell story. And you guys will see what that direction is a little bit later. Jushin Thunder Liger is in the ring ready for his match. He still doesn't know who his opponent is. But the commissioner, Nick Bockwinkel, comes out and says that Liger is hungry for a challenge, much like Vader. So when Lou Albano came to him asking to get Vader on the card, he couldn't pass up this opportunity. It will be Liger versus Vader right now. To be fair, Vader had just as much time as Liger in terms of knowing who his opponent is. So, like, yes, it was sprung on Liger, but it was sprung on Vader as well. But either way, they were both ready for a match, and it is a match we will get. And about that had good heat and decent wrestling, Vader defeated Jushin Liger in 20 minutes by pinfall with a Vader bomb. This was quite underwhelming. They don't click. Yeah, that I'm a little bit upset by that. Jushin's poor gimmick, Vader's poor gimmick. Yeah, well, that's a bit of a bummer. Still a great match. It's our best match of this show by far. I don't think it's our best match ever. I feel like even if Vader and Liger put on poor performances, they could still do the best match ever. But I don't think it is. It could be. The silver lining in this was going to be the main event because I expected a great match. But Blanchard and Backlund is the main event because it makes much more sense from a story perspective. However, I am concerned about Blanchard Backlund because they have poor chemistry, and I kind of forgot that until I booked this match. So, the main event's probably going to be shit, but I've tried some remedies. We'll see if it works. Definitely not going to beat a 65. I can tell you that right now. But here goes nothing. And about that had great heat and decent wrestling. Tully Blanchard defeated Bob Backlund in 14:42 by pinfall with a slingshot suplex following interference from Buddy Landell. That gets a 61. You know what? I will take a 61. I will take that. 58s across the board. As you can see, they don't seem to click. And the match was a little short. Yeah, so a couple things to address here. First of all, the reason it's short is because Bob Backlund couldn't go above 15 minutes. Then I added All Out because I wanted them to try and get the best performance they could despite the chemistry, and it did seem to work, so that's good. But once All Out was added, not even Tully could go over 15 minutes. So that's what we ended up with. But honestly, I'm happy with the result. And as you can see, Buddy Landell interfered in the match. It's quite clear now that the offer he received was from maybe Blanchard, maybe Ellering. But then after the match, an 84, holy shit. Tully Blanchard stands victorious in the ring after Buddy Landell helped him get the win. Paul Ellering and the New Breed come out and celebrate with them. Tully takes the mic and says that he kept his promise and made sure no one from Tully Blanchard Enterprises interfered. And now GWA is rid of the washed-up has-been Backlund. Landell and the members of TBE head backstage to celebrate while Backlund picks himself up off the mat. He takes one last look at the GWA crowd as he makes a sorrowful exit. TBE have done their job. Backlund is no longer on the GWA roster. And technically, yeah, Tully did keep his promise. No one from Tully Blanchard Enterprises interfered, but their potential new member, Landell, did. And Landell's technically not in the group, at least not yet. 84, brilliant. I don't know how I got that. I think Blanchard just went off script. As you can see, he was superb working without a script. But I feel like I've done that before and it didn't get quite as good. So I don't know. And Paul Ellering debuted a new gimmick. He just didn't have a gimmick, so I had to assign him one. So yeah, there you go. So I'm hoping so badly that this is our best show yet. If we return to the booking screen and we go show history, 65 is our best. And so I'm thinking with a 65 match followed by a 61 main event followed by an 84 segment, surely we do better. Fingers crossed. We tied. I mean, you know, yeah, I'll take it. Increased pop in 10 regions. We'll make a speech. Tully, we're gonna praise him because of that promo. Nick Bockwinkel, his promo skills, especially in that first segment, were great, so we're gonna praise him. And then I think Vader. We're not going to praise him because the match was still underwhelming. I know the chemistry was a thing, but we are going to compliment him. And I'm choosing him over Liger because he had the best performance in that match. So we're praising Tully and Nick, and we're complimenting Vader. Seemed pleased. So there you go. That's our first pay-per-view in the books. Overall, I'm happy with it. It could have been a bit better, but I am happy with it. So I think we've really started to hit our groove in terms of booking. We're definitely getting up there. But financially is where we need the help. So if we have a look, GWA First Strike, the feedback has been great. It has drawn a lot of praise. There we go. Oh, we made so much money. Holy crap. 209,000. Okay, that, to be fair, that still includes 2 episodes of Showcase in there. And then $729,000 from pay-per-views. Okay, we're doing monthly pay-per-views. I can tell you that right now. Let's have a look. Scott Armstrong is now gone. Yes, technically we could have booked Scott Armstrong on this show because his contract only runs out now. But the problem was we could either do a Saturday or a Sunday show. Saturday we get Lawler but no Armstrong. Sunday we get Lawler but no Armstrong. Wait, did I say that right? Lawler's absent on the Saturday, Armstrong's gone on the Sunday. So we couldn't conclude that story on the pay-per-view, which is why we did it on Showcase. Scott Armstrong has left Smoky Mountain. We get 472,000 viewers on pay-per-view. That's crazy because 472,000 viewers on pay-per-view is still a large chunk of what we get on just regular TV. So that is insane. That is really, really insane. I want to see top matches. Okay, so that was our third best match between Vader and Liger. Yeah, crazy stuff. It's weird to see Buddy Landell in the top 2 matches, even though he did not contribute to that factor whatsoever. The other thing I was going to show you guys, Nikita Koloff is here. He is one of the franchise players. Yeah, I think that about does it. I think next time we'll start looking at maybe some investments, maybe starting a training facility, something like that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But now that we know we can make good money, that will absolutely be on the agenda. Maybe even a developmental. Who knows? But yeah, with that done, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Really happy with this show, and I hope you guys are as well. Let me know what you thought of it. If there's something you think I could have done better, something I did wrong, let me know. Again, any ideas, any signings you want me to make, anything like that, let me know. I want you guys to get involved with this series just as much as I am. And yeah, so thank you guys very much for joining me today. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.